Hey guys, it's Daniel Faust and War Hero to Superhero. This week we are in the superhero battle room as we interview military veteran and first responders that have transformed from war heroes to superheroes. Doesn't matter if they were behind the desk or right in the war front, you were a war hero going over and supporting the fight. And now we are talking about people that have transformed from that war hero to superhero. And today in our superhero battle room, we have Wally Carmichael, 20 years in military service and supreme business owner. He's been doing this virtual stuff for years, and he is one of our kings that he's going to go lead us into teaching us on how he's going over and thriving. But today he's going to share his war hero story and go from there and teach and show us where he went from war hero to superhero. So thank you, Wally, for joining.
Oh, pleasure. Glad to be here, man.
So if you can tell us your war hero story, like, what service were you in? How long were you in? I think it was 20 plus years, if I remember correctly. I think it was Army, but I'd rather have you tell your story because you're the one that knows it most accurately.
Yeah, I remember some of it.
That's a good thing, just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was Army. I came in as a medic. I originally started out doing some college, kind of paying for that, and ran out of money. And my uncle, my dad's brother, was home on leave. He was a first sergeant at the time, and he's like, "Hey, ran out of money for college, so I was working 2 full-time jobs trying to raise money to get back in college." And he's like, "Join the Army. You'll get some education along the way and travel the world." And I said, "Not no, but hell no." Had no desire whatsoever. But after working multiple jobs and being engaged in some activities that would have landed me in jail or dead, like many of my peers, or some of them are still either in orange jumpsuits somewhere or in Arizona or not with us anymore. And some of them have, got out of the lifestyle. But anyhow, joined the military and just loved it from day one. I mean, I did basic training at Fort Bliss, Texas, and just realized I needed that level of discipline. My dad had been in the military, but he was drafted. My uncle, his brother, was enlisted and did 30 years, retired as a sergeant major. My dad got out as soon as he possibly could. And both of them were in during the Vietnam era. Uncle went to Vietnam, dad did not. And dad was just a hippie, just, old burnout hippie. Had no, that's just the lifestyle I grew up in. And so I got to about 10 years-ish and was ready to get out. I was in Germany at that time, multiple deployments. My wife and I had been together out of 7 years of marriage, had literally been together less than 3 because of, deployments, schools, field exercises. And so when we were leaving Germany, I was just going to get out, but actually had an opportunity to go back to El Paso and work in the hospital and get some normalcy in my life, and kind of caught my second wind, and then took it out to 25 years and retired in Hawaii.
So that's why your cell phone's Hawaii. I was wondering why that was it.
Yeah, I can't give it up, man. If anything, it's a good conversation piece when I see the 808.
Yeah, I was hoping I wasn't calling long distance today. So 25 years in, so you got out in Hawaii, correct? And in what year did you get out?
February 2015.
Okay, so right after, like, we had 2008 crash and we kind of balanced out. So you came out on the prime end of things. We were recovering and whatnot. So how was that transition? Was it a good one? Was it a bad one?
It wasn't terrible, but it was eye-opening. I'll tell you, I retired Master Sergeant, been an equal opportunity advisor, had all kinds of other training and stuff, and just thought, I got enough connections. I'm going to retire here in Hawaii. I've been here for total of 10 years, ultimately at that point, about 8 years, and with 2 different tours. And then, it was a humbling experience, to say the least. I wanted to work DOD. I wanted to stay working for the military, and just kept going to job interviews. And it got to the point where I was applying for jobs in Alaska, for God's sake. I mean, I was just wanting to find a job. So I say I took 4 months off, but it wasn't really planned to take 4 months off. But that's what I did. And in the interim, we were in the process of relocating from Hawaii to Texas, actually. And in the interim of doing that, I started a cleaning business. and I was going to start bringing on military family members actually who have a hard time getting a job in Hawaii. It's
Mm.
kind of like being overseas. If anybody's been overseas, you know what it's like for the family members to get jobs in the local area. And started doing that. But then I got a call from the Navy who wanted me to come be an equal employment specialist for the Navy as a GS-12 there in Pearl Harbor. So I ended up staying in Hawaii. It was cool too because I only worked 3 days a week.
Wow,
Tuesday,
this is GS-12. Wow.
yeah, GS-12 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I had 4 day weekend. So 3 days a week, I was technically only making GS-9 pay really,
Hmm.
but it was a great experience. I got to kayak across Pearl Harbor on my way to work, and to cut off on the commute. And but it was very humbling because I thought for sure I was going to be able to get a job right away, and a lot of people knew me. But the problem was they were looking for my level of experience, and there's a nepotism, I guess, going on there. They already knew who they wanted to hire, type of thing. But it
Yeah.
worked out because it worked out for me in that regard because I did about 5 months working for the Navy. I think it was about 8 months working for the Navy as EEO specialist, and then
Mm.
the guy who took my job at Triple Army Medical Center was on active duty still, Master Sergeant. They had created some civilian positions, and I was one of the first guys that they called, and I applied for it. Obviously, got the job as a OI Organization Inspection Program Coordinator as a civilian.
Hmm.
GS9, and then worked myself up as I left there as the deputy of operations for Triple Army Medical Center.
So that sounds like that was an amazing transformation. But those 4 months, it's like I remember when I applied for GS jobs, and I'm in one right now for the next few years. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, if you're not homie G into the network and whatnot, that's the type of thing. It's because I went TDY here
Mm-hmm.
last year, and then they knew my work ethic as a military member, and then the position opened up providentially. In my career field, it's like they beg for people to stay. In other places, you can go over and they have such a plethora of people that you just wait.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the hardest and lowest point of getting out, or during that time and whatnot? Was there any hard or low point during that time?
There really wasn't for me because I was still in the same environment. Even when I went back and worked at Tripler, everybody still knew me as Master Sergeant Carmichael,
Hmm.
Wally, whatever. Uh, they knew me because I had worked there for so long. The hardest part was really just kind of we were fine financially, sort of kind of. It was building up because you got to understand in Hawaii the cost of living is a whole hell of a lot more than just about anywhere else.
Hmm.
And the house we were in at the time was we financed it $721,000 in a
Ooh,
resort area. Our average utilities, water, electricity, and sewage was about $1,000 a month.
wow.
Yeah, so it was the stress was building up quickly. So fortunately, I did get the job, and then but it really wasn't any low points. The high point was I was still in Hawaii and
Hmm.
still in a resort area. And once we did finally sell the house, because we were in the process of selling the house, because remember we were going to relocate,
Hmm.
and we ended up getting the job in there in Hawaii and didn't expect it. So we went ahead with the sale of the house and then moved into a beach home, not far from that location, literally living right on the beach. Even the house wasn't that far from the beach; it was just a 10-minute walk. But literally living right on the beach, it was beautiful. It was the dream, quite frankly.
I would agree. I'd agree. So, what made you transform from the into the war hero superhero? Because you got out and you were like, "All right, I got to figure this out," and got into the GS job, and now your life is totally pivoted. If I remember correctly, you're in
Mhm.
Florida. You're not connected to the GS world, so you had to make some transformations from, "All right, now I'm a GS employee, and I did 25 years of service, and now I'm a fruitful business owner, and I'm helping other people becoming and thriving business owners and coaches and teachers." So, what made you make that transformation?
So living in the beach home, I was still in my whole life, my whole career as a young man. I was that guy ungratefully chasing a 6 and 7 figure income. So one day, I'm sitting. I don't even have my headset here. I think I left it over there. But one day, I'm sitting in the gazebo in front of the house. My youngest boy, I think he was 6 at the time, playing around in the waves in the water, and he's like, "Dad, come and play." And I'm motioned to here they are. Here's my headset. I got the headset on, something similar to this, listening to a podcast, probably Pat Flynn or something like that, trying to
Mm,
figure out how to, you know, realize this amazing life that I dreamed of, and a six or seven figure income. Well, here I am sitting in a gazebo on the beach in Hawaii, have a six-figure income with retirement, disability, my GS position, and other things that I had coming in because I had been doing things my whole life, and I've got
mhm,
residual income coming in from here and there. I'm doing pretty damn good. And when his facial expression, after kind of waving him off, and his facial expression changed from excitement to disappointment, it was like a brick hit me in the back of the head. And my wife's voice, who was still asleep in the house behind me, saying, "Wally, what the hell are you chasing?" And I just kind of woke up and I just realized that I'm living this amazing life. I don't think I said life of abundance, but I'm living this amazing life. I put the headset down, and from that point, just started really enjoying the life I had lived, built at that point. And then so much more started coming into my life in the form of connections, opportunities, more money, more, stronger relationship with my family, which I had two of my three boys at home at the time.
mm,
The third one had already taken off and gone and joined the military.
mm,
Um, and and then it came up. Few things happened. It's a longer story, but I ended up starting this podcast called Men of Abundance because I wanted to start having conversations with other men and women, by the way, who are living a life of abundance in their own right and somehow paying it forward to the community and the world. And now that podcast is almost 4 years running, downloaded in over 100 countries. And about 6 months into that podcast, listeners started asking me if I coached in living a life of abundance. And I hadn't. I had no desire to start a business of that regard at all. And then a spouse called me. She says, "Look, Wally, I've been listening to your show." She literally called me and she's like, "I've been listening to your show. I love it. We make plenty of money. My husband, we're doing fine. But when he's home, he's not home. And I'm wondering if you would coach my husband into the lifestyle that you've worked yourself into." I said, I appreciate it. I'm flattered, but it don't work like that. He's got to listen to the show and got to want the coaching and whatnot, but I don't know how to do that. And I was straight up with everybody. So I ended up hiring coaches, several.
mm.
Some of them weren't so great, and I lost some money. I learned from the process, but I ran into a couple folks, and then it just kind of evolved into what my business now, which is Abundance and Prosperity Business Mastery, because I realized that as a strategist in the military, I can also strategize businesses, and I love strategy, and I can help people that way. So it's kind of a long journey, and it's still evolving. Now I've
Mhm.
got the Business Owner Growth Podcast and my Abundance and Prosperity business, coaching business, and I just brought on two new clients today. And I'm just absolutely loving what I could do because I could be retired right now. That's why we moved from Hawaii to Florida, so I could retire. But even when I was leaving Hawaii, my boss over there at the GS position was like, "No, you can't leave." But okay, you're going to leave. And I finally said, "I got to go, man," because I put myself in a homeless situation in Hawaii because my family was still here.
Of course, you're
But
double dipping. I've done that before.
yeah, yeah. And so, he said, "Well, okay, you're going to go, but can you telework?" Because I had information and I had access to certain things that nobody else had access to. So I teleworked for about 8 months from right here in this office, worked Hawaii hours. And then finally 2 years ago, it was about a little over 2 years ago, I just said, "I'm done. Uh, I'm done." And I had already started building this business, coaching business to where I could replace that income. And now I've surpassed that.
And you got to live out your brand. You're talking about men of abundance, and then
Mhm.
you're tied to the GS thing. And I'm like, people can live abundantly in the GS world, but sometimes you have a different abundance that you're trying to live out. And that was that wake up call, your son
For
going over
sure.
and just giving that continence.
Mhm.
Because, man, facial affect can communicate so much. It's like a
Yeah.
hit. I remember my transformation years ago. It was like a wife's words in a conversation in the middle of the night that transformed my marriage. And it's the same thing. We have to find that moment to make that transformation. So who do you, so you're currently serving, are you have a specific target clients that you're specifically serving? Are you looking for military and veteran people in the coaching training programs that you do at all?
Yeah, I do. I just naturally attract veterans because I'm a veteran, and I'm a part of another group called, I don't know if you've ever heard of Veterati,
Yeah,
where,
I've
yeah,
heard of it briefly. Yeah.
yeah. So I do mentorship. I get regular connections with Veterati, and then I end up working with some folks from there. But really, just mentorship from there. But I'm always out in Bunker Labs or Action Zone. We have Action Zone out here. Valerie's part of the kind of the top person out here for Bunker Labs Tampa area, and Action Zone. So I'm always staying connected to the veteran resources and just helping out veterans where I can. But I ultimately, my niche is I really like to work with subcontractors and chiropractors, professional service type businesses. But I
Mhm.
tend to attract all kinds of folks. I've worked with other coaches. I've worked with lifestyle coaches, mindset coaches, business coaches, and I just took on two clients today. One is starting a stand-up paddle. Actually, it's funny because the guy who was introduced to me through another client, and me and this guy literally lived in the same neighborhood at the same time while we were in Hawaii. So him and some partners of his are starting a stand-up paddleboard business out here in the Tampa area. And so I work with like HVAC type guys, mostly service type businesses.
That's really cool. So let's go for our last question. We always go over and do at the end of our thing is 3 superhero tactics. You've had 25 years in service, and now you've transformed from military to GS to now business owner, thriving, and finally got the balance from war hero to superhero, thriving in the bedroom, living room, boardroom. But if you had to talk to yourself before you saw your son give you that continence thing, and you could just say, transport yourself back, what pieces of advice would you have gained yourself or somebody else that's maybe walking through that transformation process?
Yeah, well, in that regard, definitely, have perspective on what you really want, and realize sometimes what you really want you already have. It was right there in front of me. I had everything I was chasing. But the three things that I would mention right now, specifically at where I'm at today, is
Mm-hmm.
one, be bold, but be prepared and be able to back up your boldness. Like if you're going to reach out to somebody, you want to have a conversation with somebody, just realize, don't put them on a pedestal. They started, they're just like you, and you can reach out and have the most amazing conversations with people that you think you could never get in contact with. I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
um, be abundant in your thoughts and actions, because especially with everything that's going on right now, there's so much scarcity going on, there's so much fear, and then there's more fear put on top of that fear. And you just got to realize that we live in abundant, and we specifically in the United States live in an abundant world. I just had a conversation with a doctor who literally just got back from Africa, and and I've been to 23 countries on 5 continents. I've seen true poverty. We
Mm-hmm.
have an abundance of time, treasures, and talents. Then pay it forward.
Yeah.
Pay forward your time, treasures, and talents. All the above, or one of the categories, whatever you have, you at the very least have time, you have knowledge, you have wisdom, you have talents, and some of you have other resources that you can pay it forward with. And I'm telling you right now, there's an amazing dynamic when you give. Like if you want, more better connections in your life, then give of yourself, connect other people, make connections with other people. You'll get more connections than you can handle. Relationships, give of your relationships. Pick up the phone, do a video for somebody on their birthday. Don't just send a little, hey, Facebook, happy birthday, junk, Get on a video and send them a video. Tell them, show them, let them see that you truly care. And, so much more will come back to you. And it's the same with money. You give of your resources, you get more resources in return. This is my personal experience. I'm
Mhm.
extremely passionate about it because I'm living it.
That's really awesome. Those are great tips. So, if you guys are listening out there, I want to thank you guys for listening, an audience, and then also a friendly reminder to our audience as you're going over and listening. This is a challenge we give to all our War Hero to Superheroes. We have our TV show launched in 15 different platforms called War Hero to Superhero. It's an elevated platform of this Facebook and also podcast. So Wally is one of our War Hero to Superheroes. If you want him to be elevated on TV and to get to our show, give him 3 seconds of your time. Just 3 seconds. That gives a view. If he gets the most views within 72 hours, he gets elevated to a War Hero Superhero. So if you want to go connect with him and you want to go over and give an abundant gift back to him, just 3 seconds at a time. That's all you have to be on. That's how the Facebook algorithm and YouTube works. We prefer you to watch all the wisdom for 20 minutes, but we know that, hey, if you want to just support Wally and you can't spare that time, just click on your thing 3 seconds, leave your phone off to the side, and boom, he gets a view. And we want to thank you for your time. And do you have a website you want to go send people to at all to connect with you at all?
Yeah, real quick, just wallycarmichael.com. That's where you can go get a downloadable version of my book, and some other free resources are right there. If you scroll down, specifically as a business owner, scroll down on wallycarmichael.com, where there's a video called Everything is Wrong. Check out that video. It's about 70 minutes. It's a little bit long, I admit. Best 70 minutes that you'll put into your business, I promise you.
Hopefully I got the website. I just typed it in last minute.
Cool.
That was good. It was a really easy one. I've had some people before. I'm like, I'm spelling on the line.
Got to make it easy, brother.
Yep. So you can just go straight to his website to go over and connect with him if you want to learn about the Abundance podcast and go over and connect. I know you're still looking for coaches and trainers, correct?
I am still looking for coaches and speakers and trainers. Yeah, only because just a couple more, really. I've already got a couple on my team that I'm training, but wow, I've been so busy over the last month or so. Business owners are in dire need of some very quality business coaching and consulting. It's all about seeing the whole picture. It's just like I just did a podcast. If you guys want to go listen to an episode of Business Owner Growth Podcast, the last episode that just dropped just before, or this morning actually, talks about the number one ultimate advantage that you can have in your business. I dropped it. It's only 10 minutes. You can manage that. Go check that out. Business Owner Growth Podcast. And for my Men of Abundance is menofabundance.com.
Awesome. So thank you for joining. Again, if you want to elevate Wally to the next level, give him a 3-second view. He'll have 72 hours from today. So Friday by 6:30, that's when we'll count our numbers. And then after we have all our interviews this week, we'll get back with who's going to be elevated to our TV show. And yes, this is always a dialogue, never a monologue. Even though me and Wally are talking, we want you to be involved in the conversation. We did have one comment that came in, an edifying comment, because sometimes we get trolls. So Penny Kraft says, great job. I'm not sure if you're connected with her or not, but she wanted to at least give that kudos to you. So
thanks. Yep. Appreciate that, Penny.
Yep. So we're going to go punch out here for another episode of War Hero to Superhero. You can listen to us on Facebook, YouTube, and on Podopolo, PODOPOLO.com. If you want to gamify your podcast, you can catch us out there too. And also, don't forget our War Hero to Superhero TV show, Wednesdays at 7:30. But again, our main goal is to connect to Wally. So if you forget about our show today, connect to Wally. That's the goal. So thank you, Wally, again. We're going to go end this broadcast, and thank you guys for joining.